of musical chairs with me, Cheer Up Charlie. And today we have the amazing, the wonderful. He's a man that shows you can do anything. He's an actor. He's a presenter. He's done documentaries. He's also ran through a field naked in the middle of November, because he just has. And he's also a man that shows he can do anything and nothing will stop him, basically. So he is an amazing man. He is Adam Pearson, everybody! Whoop, 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 whoop.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite intros I've ever had. This must be how The Rock feels on a daily basis right now.
Thank you. That's probably one of the best compliments I've ever had for my intros, because people generally like my interviews, but intros, not interviews. But that was definitely the best intro.
Oh yeah, you nailed
my
it.
intro, and I really enjoyed doing that intro. So, if you're ready, I'll get right into the questions.
Yes.
So, this is a very different kind of interview for me, as usually I have to get my jazz hands out, but I feel that this is very important to showcase amazing people like you. You suffer from a condition called neurofibromatosis, which causes tumours to form on nerve tissue. Do you remember getting your diagnosis?
Yeah, so I got my diagnosis when I was 5, so that was like back in 1990. And diagnostic medicine back in the 90s is a far cry from where we are now. I reckon if I was 5 years old now, it would have been caught like day one. So yeah, I remember getting it, and then after that, it was a lot of doctor's appointments, checkups, and when it comes to medicine, when you grow up in that environment where you're always in and out of hospitals and talking to different specialists, you learn a lot by osmosis. I think the more you're around the medical world, the more you learn to navigate it, and the more you learn to master your own condition. And I think that's what's really helped me more than anything, is being able to understand my condition and take control of my medical destiny and know what challenges are there going to be, and then how can we circumnavigate those challenges so we can still put our head down, crack on, and go to school, get good grades, get a good job, and do all the things that I want to do.
Yeah.
Despite it maybe being harder in certain places than it would be if I didn't have my disability.
Yeah. So, did you ever think as a child you would grow up and become an actor, presenter, and most of all, a campaigner?
I didn't. I think when you grow up, I think we put a lot of pressure on young people to decide what they want to be. And I even think the way we can word the question, what do you want to be when you grow up, is also really unhelpful, because it also says that what they are now isn't good enough. But I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. I mean, when I was 3, I wanted to be a train. Then I realized that wasn't possible, so I went for train driver. Then I went through my teenage years. I wanted to be a wrestler, and that didn't work out. And I sort of fell into TV. I applied to work in radio at Six Music and Radio 2 and didn't get it. But they gave me a job in commissioning in TV, which is like the power floor of the BBC. You decide what does and doesn't make it on TV, essentially. And I was just doing like a basic admin job. And they quite liked the cut of my jib. I was this like young, cheeky upstart that knew a lot about TV, that had cool tasting t-shirts. And so they kept me around, eventually stuck me on screen, and that's done me the world of good. I've been very fortunate to have impressed the right people at the right time and been given a lot of amazing opportunities I've worked really hard to nail and do my best in. And it's a mixture of hard work and good luck.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I want to be on the stage one day. But recently my path started to take a very different path with presenting in interviews. But I have 2 academic parents who still insist I do well at school, which is also quite important to me. Is that why you decided to do a business degree, or was your plan to utilize it?
Well, the plan is always to utilize one's degree, but I needed a good education behind me anyway. I think because of my disability, and the fact we live in a culture that inadvertently equates disability and inability as the same thing, I really needed a degree so I can like walk into a job interview, sit down, and kind of slam it on the table, so to speak, and be like, "Take me seriously. I'm the best thing in this damn room right now." And so that
Yeah.
was important. And to a degree, I do utilize my degree when you're negotiating contracts or going and training big tech companies like I do. You need to be able to use the business lingo and talk the language of business
Mhm.
and economics and make the business case for disability as opposed to just the moral and ethical one, all of which are important.
Mhm.
So yeah, I'm finally utilizing my degree after what 11 years of getting it. The parents are thrilled. So yeah, I've done all right, but I think education is really important.
Yeah.
Media and performing is cutthroat and competitive, and if that's your passion and that's your plan A, by all means chase it as far as you can afford to, but always have a good solid plan B.
Mhm. Mhm. By the way, I love your T-shirt.
Yeah, I know, right? Someone thanks.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, how incredible was it to make your first documentary and then go on to film with Scarlett Johansson?
Oh yeah. No, the documentaries are always good fun, and but they're not easy because you got to. I like dark, meaty, complicated topics, and if you're going to do it, you do it well. You go all in. It's very easy just to sit up, read off a script, and turn up and like scratch the surface. But if you do it, you do it well. And
Mhm.
sometimes that can be quite uncomfortable. You have to like discuss complex things and face things that you don't necessarily want to. But if I'm not willing to make myself emotionally vulnerable as a presenter, I don't have a right to ask the audience to buy in the same way. And so I think I owe it to myself, my boss, and my audience
Mhm.
to go all in and push the boundaries and shine a light on very dark, complex things to make them accessible. So
Mhm.
those are fun. And then the Scarlett Johansson gig is a very good first gig to get as an actor. I only applied as a joke, and it went horribly well.
Only as a joke. Well, sometimes jokes turn into amazing things.
Yes, they do, sir.
So I almost have two identities now. At school, I'm just Charlie, and also with my friends. But then for interviews and work, I become hashtag cheer up Charlie. And I think it's really important that I still just be me. How do you manage to do this?
I think you just do it. I don't think there's a formula for that. And I think who you are off screen and who you are on screen shouldn't be dramatically different. I think who I am on screen is just me, but with the volume turned up just a little bit.
Mhm.
And I think if your friends and family can watch you on screen and be like, yeah, that's the same guy that we know and that we love, but occasionally wanna give a bit of a slap to, then you've done your job well. And as
Yeah,
long as you don't compromise your own beliefs or your own standards or your own morals, and always do you in
yeah,
those situations.
yeah.
Like be your best self. Everyone else is taken.
I always say that. Be yourself because everyone else is taken. I always, always, always say that.
Because it's true, right?
Yeah, it is so true. You can't be anybody else. You can only
You
be
can
you.
try, but it's
Yeah.
yeah, and trying is futile. I could spend from now until the end of time trying to be the best Justin Bieber I can be. No matter how good I get, I'm only going to be second to Justin Bieber. And losing to Justin Bieber is mildly heartbreaking.
So I'm still waiting for my Blue Peter badge. Have you got yours yet? If not, how do you and I start our Gain a Blue Peter badge campaign with Adam Pearson and Cheer Up Charlie?
I don't have a Blue Peter badge, and I have tried a lot of things. I've even tried bribing former presenters to get me one, and it hasn't worked. Like I bought you a drink, Radzi, and you didn't get me a badge. What's all that about?
Oh no, Radzi!
Love
So,
Radzi, such a good guy.
yeah, never met him. Radzi, if you're watching this and you want an interview, contact me, please. I
Do
want an
it.
interview with you,
Do it,
definitely.
Radzi.
But
Do it.
seeing him on TV definitely sounds and looks really cool, and just feels like an amazing man. So, who would be on a list of people that you would most like to work with, even if they don't fit together? For instance, I'd love to sing with Miley Cyrus and Neil Sedaka together.
Oh, that is just crazy enough where it might work. That's all I can think about now. I'm like, what would you sing? How would it work? How would we arrange that whole shebang? Who would I want to work with? I hmm. So definitely The Rock. Just so
Yeah,
I can
that'd
like
be cool.
fanboy about, so I can fanboy about 90s wrestling for the whole time, and really get on his nerves. Ryan Reynolds for sure,
So,
because
right?
he just seemed just Deadpool, just to work with Deadpool, and I reckon he's like that in real life. I reckon he's that guy the whole time. And either Matt Groening or Seth MacFarlane.
Ah, cool. Cool. So I'm very passionate about people doing what they love and not what people think they should do. Hashtag Chirp Charlie was born nearly 2 years ago now due to my decision to make a stand against bullying and support of an incredible industry. And I'm now very lucky to be in a position to use my voice and speak to people like you that give my generation the hope that things will change. But change needs to be learned. How can we get over and this and teach my generation that you can be who you choose to be, regardless of who you choose to love, what you wear, and what you look like?
I think we need to master the art of talking to each other again. I think there comes a point when you need to put down your phone, step out your front door, and just go and talk to humanity and embrace humanity, but also in a really weird way, also adopt a little bit of humility and get over ourselves and realize it's okay not to be okay, and
Mhm.
that the world doesn't start or end with us. And that the more we go out and meet people who aren't like us, the more the world will learn and the more the world will see. And that difference and diversity is a beautiful thing in all its wondrous dichotomies.
You are using all the quotes that I used today. It's okay not to be okay. I always say that again.
I said that about 15 years ago before Jessie J made it a thing.
all you um all you need to do now to use my top 3 most used quotes is just say keep being kind to yourself and others and keep letting your light shine.
I'll let you have that one. I've been working with the on Facebook and on like videos and stuff. I use the hashtag eat, sleep, inspire, repeat.
Oh,
That's what I'm trying to get over at the
that's
moment.
cool. That's cool. I need to use that in my next video. Definitely. Definitely.
I'll send you the invoice. I'll be watching.
Okay. Okay. So, 2 years ago, I suffered from an accident that resulted in me becoming deaf. And for a long time, I was embarrassed about the fact that I was no longer normal. But due to an amazing group of people close to me, I now see that it's another strength. And my my mum in particular has taught me to live the life I have and like and not what I had. So, how have you channeled this into your everyday life?
My mother raised me the exact same way. She used to be like, Adam Pearson, you need to live the life you have as opposed to mourn the one you don't. And it sounds really rudimentary. And again, I wish I could be more pragmatic with this. But I think you just get on with it. And you decide, much like you have with this, you decide what you want to be and you go and be it.
Definitely, definitely, definitely. So, one of the worst things the bullies did to me not long after spending 8 hours in the operating theatre, because the bullies thought it would be fun to clap my ears, bearing in mind I'd just been in the operating theatre for my ears. So, what message should we be getting across to people in regards to disability and disfigurements and how they're treated?
Well, disability is, when it comes to protected characteristics, i.e., race, religion, gender, sexuality, it's the only one that doesn't carry an element of mutual exclusivity. I'm not going to go to bed tonight as a white man, a white straight man, and wake up tomorrow as a black lesbian who's dabbling in Scientology. Whereas disability can happen to anyone at any time. And I think we often forget that until it's happened. And so I think we all need to just sit in that awkwardness of this could happen to me. And if this were to happen to me, how would I want to be treated? Or if this happened to my mother, father, son, daughter, brother, sister, how would I want the world to treat them? And whatever the answer to that question is, that's what you should be doing. And so, yeah,
Definitely.
practice empathy, practice kindness, and don't see disability as inability because they're two very different things.
Definitely, definitely. So, as a child, how bad was bullying for you?
Oh, I mean, it got really bad at secondary school, but I think that because when you're teenage years are rough anyway. Like all you want to do is like get out of school and meet and hang out with the ladies, right? And anything else that happens is a real bonus. But I suppose looking so different in an environment that's incredibly tribal. The school playground is like Darwin's theory of evolution in perfect motion. It's a brutal place to have to exist. I wouldn't go back there for all the tea in China. But then eventually you leave school and it's only 5 years. And I wish I'd had the maturity to realise how little the opinions of other children mattered. And had just worked that little bit harder and sort of risen above it. Because I was in the unfortunate position where I was a lot smarter than the kids who were bullying me. And I'd also been raised on a lot of old school British comedy. So I was this hilarious kid that had all these one-liners that would just wind up destroying people in the playground. And that got me in a lot more trouble than it got everyone else. And it was the whole thing was just a mess of teenage anger. And it's the one thing that if I could go back and redo it, I probably would.
Yeah. So, if you could give yourself some advice as a child, knowing what you know now as an adult, what would it be? And in all honesty, would you actually pay attention to it?
Oh, see, that's a very tricky thing. Because young Adam, this is a twitch. I'd probably sit myself down and say the people that matter don't mind, and the people that mind don't matter, and it all turns out okay in the end. In the end, the good guy wins.
Okay, so
There we
now
go.
for some funny questions. So, my mom tells me off for asking really pointless questions. And I mean pointless. Like questions that don't actually have an answer. So, what does your twin brother still tell you off for?
Oh, what does Neil still tell me off for? I'm a big fan of just randomly quoting TV programs out of context, and he hates it. Or just be walking down the road and I'll be like, start singing this random song from The Simpsons. And they'll be like, why are you singing that? I'm like, because it's a banger. So let's all move on.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So you do lots of public speaking and that type of thing. What's the most embarrassing thing you have done?
What is the most embarrassing thing I've done during public speaking? You know, I try not to embarrass myself when I'm public speaking. Ah, I know exactly what it is. Okay. I was at an award ceremony in Detroit and I'd won an award and I had to give an acceptance speech. And the guy that was running the award owned the NBA team, the Cleveland Cavaliers. And so at the end of the speech, I was going to do that cheesy American college thing where I shouted, "Thank you very much, enjoy your evening, go Cavs." And I shouted the wrong team name at the end of the speech. I said, "Go Mavs," which is the Dallas Mavericks, who hates the Cleveland Cavaliers. And I was like, oh no, that's the wrong name. That's how I finished this talk.
Oh. Oh no.
2,400 people in the room, including the Cleveland Cavaliers.
Oopsies. So, now's for a round of quick fire questions.
Quick fire.
So, who would you go and eavesdrop on if you were invisible?
Boris Johnson.
Nice. Favorite superhero?
Batman.
Ooh. Childhood book?
The Animals of Sardingwood.
Favorite city?
London.
Nice. Last song downloaded?
The last song downloaded was Cadillac Maniac by Kiss and Dynamite featuring the Baseballs.
Wow. Very, very, very detailed.
It's this crazy mashup between a swing band and like a metal band. And it shouldn't work, but it just does. It's a gloriously good song.
Cool. Favorite place to eat?
Oh, there's a really good pie and mash place in central London called Mother Mash, and I love it there.
Yeah.
And then really near there is a bakery called Crumbs and Doilies that does a caramel cornflake brownie, which is a chocolate brownie with a salted caramel cornflake cake just wedged on top of it. And it's about that big, and it's amazing.
Haribo or chocolate?
Oh, chocolate.
Harry Potter house?
I'm Gryffindor.
Nice. Text or talk?
Cool.
2 things to take to a deserted island?
A boat. I can get off the island.
Nice.
And probably my best friend.
Cool. Cool. That's really cool. So, Adam, I've got some good news and I've got some bad news for you.
Okay, let's get the bad news out of the way.
Okay, the bad news is the interview is over.
Oh!
Do you want to know the good news?
What's the good news?
You survived! Woo, woo.
Yay!
Yay!
I'm a survivor. I'm going to make it. Whatever the song is.
So, thank you so much for doing this, Adam. It was a pleasure and an honor.
Anytime, good sir. The pleasure was all mine.
Thank you so much, Adam. Bye!
Bye!
That was such a great interview. If you want to see more interviews like that, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on the notifications button. Ding, ding, ding. So remember, keep being kind to yourself and others, and keep letting your light shine. Bye!